uttama sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Today, first, I'd like to wish happy Tenjan to all the students. The students studying overseas who have returned home to Myanmar or who have chosen to remain at that university overseas. I'd like to wish all of you a very happy Tenja Myanmar New Year. I also would like to talk about the heightened and sustained stress that you have been undergoing since the COVID-19 has become pandemic. You will be worried and you will have been worried and anxious about your study, about your safety, and rightly so. Sometime maybe you will be glued to your iPhone and iPad, television, just following the news, the updates and developments of the COVID, the Wuhan virus. In addition to the threat, the great threat from the virus itself, there are also people blaming each other because all of them, they are under stress. They say things that hurt other people. And even with the best scientific advice, government in rich countries, in developed countries like in America and EU, many still make mistakes. No one government is prepared for this outbreak of COVID-19, this pandemic. So people can accuse each other of a delayed decision or a harsh decision or a decision too laxing that it results in many casualties and damages. I mean, this is a great responsibility for anyone having to make a decision for many. Not to mention for the whole country, just to say for a company. Okay, smaller than a company, just for one family. It's not at all an easy decision. So if we are mindful of this difficulty, and that this difficulty is universal, then we have some perspective. Otherwise, we can get carried away by anxiety. We increase our own anxiety, and that damages psychological health and physical health. We all know this because it weakens our immune system. Any anxiety that impacts our sleep, our eating pattern, any anxiety that increases a lot of subconscious thinking, subconscious emotional reaction. They all have consequences for our physical and mental health. So you all are educated people. I don't want to say too much about this. But what we need to do together in this pandemic is to think about our own study. That our study, okay, is prone to disruption, just anything else during this pandemic period. So it's better to accept this rather than trying to avoid this and deny it. It's a lot easier to accept and get ourselves prepared mentally. So think of the worst scenario. Your exam may be affected, and the way you study may be affected. Just trying to accept this fact and trying to see this difficulty with perspective. This is to say, universities, the whole world, no single university, okay, is exempted from this, including the university I have linked to, Oxford University, is in lockdown, and students who don't go home, they also go online. It's online teaching. We don't really know how long this is going on. How long it's going to last, we have no idea. Anything is just a guess. Of course, governments and authorities, they have economy to take care of, to consider social unrest. If too much pressure is placed on the most vulnerable section of the society. And even people who are well off, staying at home continuously for many weeks, for many months, it affects their mental health because people, they're not just trained in meditation to look after their emotion. So here you can see we use two words in English. One is isolation, the other is solitude. Solitude is more positive because a person is happy and psychologically healthy, being alone, meditating. A lot of mindfulness, very strong mindfulness. Although the person in solitude, like Mindful Sayadaw, has been in a cave for a year now, and he will be there for more than 2 years, 2 years and 3 months and 3 days. For him, okay, he meditates, he reads, he thinks about the problem of the people outside, and from time to time, he leaves messages at the entrance of the caves that his senior disciples collect and distribute it to the wider society. Meaning, he is in solitude, but he doesn't feel lonely because he always thinks about the problem of the wider world. So we can't, then isolation is when somebody is forced in some way, to keep themselves apart, like lockdown, for example. This has a negative meaning, meaning the situation forces us to go into isolation. So some of you will have gone into a quarantine, either at home or in a government-designated facility. And that in itself is a very stressful situation. But the whole world is doing this, to save us and to save everyone. So actually I have heard, and indeed I have been following your news from your parents, and I greatly empathize with your pain, having to go into a quarantine and facing a lot of anxiety now about your study, about your return to the university. Look at the airlines. 2 million flights are grounded. It affects everyone, including you, including me as well. Now, I couldn't go back to Oxford. So what do we do now? We have to make the best of the situation. About our study and about family life, we have to find some positive things. We have to look at this situation in a positive way. This is a challenge, and a challenge that we think we can take on. So talk to your friends and try to encourage them, try to exchange ideas, know how to deal with the situation. Instead of moaning and blaming, which is negative, which is triggering, the amygdala part of our brain. Try to switch your mind and your brain to compassion, which is about empathy, and which is also about looking for a way out, not just for ourselves, but for everyone. If you do this, this is actually a life experience which will do you a lot of good in the future. I don't personally think that your study will be delayed because it's not a personal problem. It's a universal problem, it's an institutional problem, it's an international crisis. In every country, schools are closed, maybe except 1 or 2 countries like Sweden, but very rare. And some of the exams, say in Myanmar, they have to be suspended midway. So for those students, I don't really know how the Minister of Education is going to ensure that their education is not affected. But one way or another, everyone is going to be affected. Students, their parents, their schools, universities, the economy. I don't really see how any one country or person or company will be spared. This is to say we are in the same boat. We are in this all together. So, if you think about the wider society and get connected emotionally means get connected with their pain. The most vulnerable one who can't go to work, their suffering. The frontline professionals who have to go to work. The doctors and nurses, the police, the volunteers, the authorities, who have no choice but to put their life at risk in front line. And think about their family, how anxious their family would be. So if you connect with the pain of those people, as I mentioned earlier, we will have some perspective to deal with this outlook. Having said all these things, I trust in all of you and in the universities you are in, that everybody is thinking about the best solution. You can see today, just a few hours ago, a professor from Oxford University said that, maybe by September, a vaccine would be available. I mean, just look how hard, people are working to find a way out, to find a remedy. Economists, scientists, the professors, so everybody is thinking about solution. We are not giving up. We are more determined than ever to help each other. So with this a positive note, I would like to recite some chosen stanza from the Buddhist text to invoke the blessing on all of you for your good health, safety, long life, good decision, resilience, happiness, and above all, success. Yang gensi wedan ida wa huran wa takedu wa yang ratanam panitan. Na no tama aditathagatina itam pi bodhi ratanam panitan. Edena tisena tuati hodu. An enlightened person like a Buddha is so rare. He is the most precious, the rarest jewel that we can think of here in the human world and also in heavens. With this truthful pronouncement on the Buddha, may I invoke the blessing of the Buddha on all of you once again for your good health, safety, long life, resilience, good decisions, peace, happiness, and above all, success. Kayang wirakang amatang banitang yatisakan sachamunitama hito. Natena damena damati gense itam bitame ratanam panita etena tisena tuati hotu. Among all the Dhamma, this spiritual achievement, there's nothing comparable to the cessation of greed, hatred, anger, and delusion. The cessation of all those negative emotions is the highest spiritual achievement. With this truthful pronouncement on the Dhamma, may all of you be well and happy. May all your undertaking be successful. Sadhu, sadhu.